Welcome to another episode of Mystic Mondays. I'm your host, Monica Bay, also known as the Healer in Heels, ready to bring you into the world of all things mystic. Join me for a journey of spiritual growth, enlightenment, and self-actualization as we explore the wonderful world of mysticism where no gifted soul gets left behind. If you'd like to call in live to the show, dial 678-495-4345. And now, get ready for Mystic Mondays with me, Monica Bay. Welcome to Mystic Mondays, where we dive deep into all things mystic. So hello, friends at WDJY 99.1 FM and friends from WTTA 101.2 FM in Kentucky and Ohio. I am Monica Bay, also known as the Healer in Heels. I am an energy healer, a psychic medium, a purpose alignment coach, and a hypnotist. I was born with many spiritual gifts that I have worked on developing into powerful tools over the past 25 years. I named the show Mystic Mondays because I have a passion for mysticism and personal and spiritual progression. So I am excited. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the power of crystals and how some very creative ways to use them that you may not have thought of before, and much more. Are you ready? It's going to be a great show, so let's get into it. My guest today is Candace Apple. Candace is the owner and founder of Phoenix and Dragon Bookstore right here in Atlanta. She is a crystal and tarot expert. She's been playing with stones since she was 4 years old. I wish I was doing that since I was 4. And loves to share the energy of crystals with others. Candace Apple, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Monica. Glad to be here.
Awesome. I'm so glad to have you here. So I want to first talk about, since this is Mystic Monday, I would like to know what your definition of a mystic is, because a lot of people have slightly different definitions. So what does mystic mean to you?
To me, being a mystic is a person that can talk directly to God and hear from God. God talks directly to them.
Mm-hmm.
In some traditions, I believe people feel that happened a long time ago. God talked to Moses. We can't talk to God.
Mm-hmm.
And that maybe we need to have a priest or someone else be the person that communicates to us about our spiritual life. Whereas modern mystics and ancient mystics, men and women,
Yes.
there are women mystics,
That's true.
feel that prayer is not just asking to God, but also hearing his direction, her direction. And that's what it means to me.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, because a lot of people today feel that like you were saying, that they can't connect directly. And the truth is that you can connect directly. You don't need anything outside of yourself to connect directly with that source energy, mm-hmm. and to receive that peace and that knowledge, that universal wisdom and information and healing as well.
And sometimes just reminders of things you already knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe another lifetime, but you knew it somewhere in there.
Exactly. We always have to be reminded, mm-hmm. of what we already know, right? That's why we reread books. I have a book that I just put out in my blog the other day, what's it called? Yoga Sutras. Mm-hmm. I read that once a year. And because it's such a powerful book that just... It's so layered with so many bits and pieces of wisdom that just are eye-opening and jaw-dropping. But then every time I read it, I've read the entire book many times, but every time I read it, I see something different or something hits me in a different way that, brings me to some type of new epiphany. So
you're a different person by the second time you read it.
This is true. This is true. So I would also like to know... You like to talk about, I know we talked before on the phone, and you like to talk about synchronicity, and you seem to have a passion for that. So what are your thoughts around it, and how do you believe it works?
I believe synchronicity works. It's sometimes called a little gift from God. It's in one way he can communicate. The universe can communicate with us. It's when two things happen in very close connection, and you sort of look at them and say, what am I supposed to be learning from this? Why did these two things happen? I had an experience I thought was synchronicity the other day. I was at storage in a 6-story building with all these storage units. There were only 2 of us there. I get to my storage unit, and the young lady, the other one person, was right next to me and had the whole floor full. And I thought, well, maybe there's a reason we're supposed to meet each other. Still don't know what that answer is. I said hello to her and said, maybe we're supposed to meet each other.
Well, I definitely believe in that. And I always say everything happens for a reason. And I believe that people, souls collide in life, whether that's for a second, a minute, or a lifetime, and that those collisions are meant to happen for a particular reason. And they're symbiotic. So each person is supposed to get something out of that, even like the smallest ones.
One of my favorite new books is by Stephen Post, and it's called God and Love on Route 80. And it's the story of our interconnectedness and the story of synchronicities and how the trick is they're all around us, and sometimes we don't pay attention. So that really our job in synchronicities, our half of it is paying attention.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And taking the opportunity, because every juncture where we meet someone else is an opportunity to learn something, to grow, and to have an experience.
Right.
And sometimes those experiences may even seem negative, but what ends up happening is there was a positive outcome of that negative, thing. I don't believe anything is really negative. I believe everything just is.
When I test psychics, I don't ask about my business. They know what that is. I ask about my love life. And when I ask if a certain relationship was, over several years testing them, was this the one, they went 17 out of 18 said no. The last fellow said, well, if you don't do anything with the information, what's it worth? so you have to remember to act.
That's true. That's true. Acting is important for everything. Yes, definitely. So how do you tie synchronicity in with a larger universal consciousness?
What I believe, and this is also mentioned in Stephen's book, that there is a universal brain, infinite mind. There are many different ways to call it. Some people call it God. But that we're all interconnected through that. And so when we show up at the same time, maybe we were both planning that in our dreams. When creative people speak, they talk about information coming through them. And very often that's seen as connecting to the universal mind. And it's not in time and space like our linear idea of time. There's things that are in the past, there's things in the future, and they're all there.
Yeah.
So it can also be how people get psychic information.
Yeah.
By tapping into that.
Yeah, and I definitely believe that that's where, I put air quotes, psychic information comes from, because we use that word a lot, and people tend to shroud it with secrecy and like all these like special things, and it is special to be able to tap into that, but we all have that ability,
right?
And we all have the ability to connect and to be able to discern that information that we receive as well. The information comes through the crown chakra and gets interpreted by the third eye, so as long as all that's clear, you're good.
Right.
You're receiving and you're interpreting. Yes.
And you can evaluate it too.
Yes.
I tell people, if they want to use a Ouija board or something, you wouldn't just open your front door and ask anybody out on the street a life-changing question. Should I marry this person? You want to know where your source is, and you want to be able to depend that it's something, and it's really inside of you. So if you look at what that message is, you're the one that's interpreting it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the same. And so I know we're going to talk about crystals today, but just to segue into that interpretation, because what you just said made me think of when you're doing a tarot reading. And I know you're a tarot expert as well. And so when a lot of times when people are, using tarot, especially when they're new to it, they just go from the book. And instead of just kind of intuiting the information as it appears on the card. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are that I am not a tarot expert. I'm a Voyager tarot expert.
Well.
It's very different.
Okay.
Because the one reason I love this Voyager tarot, it's all very visual. And there are collages, and there's symbols, and there's planets, and there's sculptures. And every time you look at it, there's so much, you see something different.
I do like cards like that.
And they can be very personal, too. So I don't know what a Two of Swords means for the life of me, except two little sticks that are sharp. But if I see it and see all the information around it, then it's like, yes, that's what it means to me.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm the same way when I read. I like tarot cards and I like oracle decks. But the ones that I choose, I don't do Rider Waite because that one's too boring to me. So
Right.
the ones that I choose happen to be ones that have imagery that I connect with, and also things that have a lot going on, so that my psyche can look at that information, see how those different shapes and those different images are interacting with one another, on the card, and that gives me my answer.
And it can be different every single time.
Exactly. Not every card means the same thing.
And I think it's why there's so many tarot decks with different kinds of art and different types of interpretations, because one book does not fit all, one shoe does not fit all,
No.
one deck doesn't fit all. And
Exactly.
the first time I took a class with the Voyager, she ask a question you know the answer to. So I asked, where was I last Thursday night? And we were out searching for a restaurant for 3 hours and 150 miles. And it was in the desert in Tucson, and there were little desert rats running across the road. And so when I drew the card, it was the seeker. And in that card, there was a desert rat right there in the corner of the card.
That's funny.
It knows me. I know it. We're good now.
A connection was made.
No.
That's great. So bringing it back to crystals now, where do you feel like crystals fall into all of this with synchronicity and the universal consciousness and all of that?
I feel each crystal has a vibration, just as a musical note has a vibration. And there's lower note vibrations and higher notes. And low does not mean bad. High does not mean good. We need an even flow through all of our energy systems. So
Yes.
to me, it's the crystal you're tapping in, that vibration of the color and how that relates to the energy of that stone. And that's what people connect with. And very often people want an exact stone they're supposed to pick. And I work with the chakras when I teach it. And our stones at the store at Phoenix Dragon are arranged in chakra order.
Okay.
So my advice is go to that chakra you're working on. Is it love? You would go to the heart chakra, or communication, you'd go to the throat chakra, the blue stones. And then pick the one you're drawn to. Then let's look up the meaning and see why you might have been drawn to that particular stone.
Okay. And then so why do you choose to focus on the chakras when picking out the stones?
Because in my belief system, we do have this energy that relates to what we're doing in the world. The lower chakras connect us to the earth. Then there's the second chakra, that would be the first. Second is orange colors, that's reproduction, creativity. So each one of those depends on what you want to work with. And ideally, some people have more of one and one closed down, and you want a nice even flow.
Yeah. And I do find that when people are picking out stones, it's always funny if they just are, feel it. When I've brought clients to stores before and showed them how to actually connect to stones and pick them out, and then I'll just say, just find one that just talks to you. And especially if they're new at this, they may not understand what that means to talk to you. But I just say, just whatever captures your attention. And then they'll go and pick up one. And then when you see what that stone does, it's like perfect for exactly what they needed.
My favorite story about this, a young woman came in and said, my girlfriend said that I need a rose quartz for love. And I hate rose quartz. I said, don't get it. So she went to the heart chakra area, started looking, and found something that's called, let's see which one she found. She found one in that area, but it was a slightly different color.
Okay.
So we looked it up. And it turns out it was for the lungs, even though that's in the heart area. And it was healing through breath. This young woman had just started a breathwork class.
Oh, okay. There you go.
There's why she was drawn to it.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, and then to your example, a lot of times people are just told, okay, you want prosperity, go get some citrine. Or you want, different things, go do this stone. But there are many stones that do, the same thing. So... yeah, so this is a great discussion. We are going to hold this conversation and get right back to it after the break. Up next, we're going to get into some of Candace's personal story and working with crystals right after this. You can now watch and listen to all exclusive and uncensored content 24/7 at uimediaapp.com. Stay tuned. You're watching Mystic Mondays with Monica Bay.
This is Kurt Arsenault of Arsenault Advisory Group. You just got married, but you may not realize that your money did as well. Is your spouse a spender or a saver? Will you purchase or rent a home? Finances aren't always fun to talk about, but getting on the same page with your partner and having real conversations about your goals will pave the way for a secure future. If you have recently tied the knot, visit arsenaultadvisory.com to download our free ebook titled 7 Smart Money Marriage Tips. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com to get your free ebook today.
Welcome back to Mystic Mondays. I'm Monica Bay, and I'm here with our guest for today, the wonderful Candace Apple.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're discussing the power of crystals. And if you have any questions or would just like to say hello, you can call 678-495-4345. And connect with us online. You can follow us on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spreaker, and other podcasting platforms as UI Media Network. You can also follow me on all social media at The Real Monica Bay. Now that we've got that out of the way.
Okay.
So I would love to know from you, at what age, so I want to talk about a little bit more about your personal story and your journey in spirituality and how, especially becoming a crystal expert. And, you know, earlier on, I said that I had mentioned to the audience that you started playing with stones at the age of 4. So what brought that on and what really attracted you to crystals?
Well, I had a good friend and we loved to play out in the dirt together. But what happened was there was 2 geology students living at my grandmother's house while they were in college there. And I found out that they were going to get to grow up and play with rocks. And I went, I want to be a geologist at 4 years old because you can play with rocks. So I'm really lucky that my life evolved into a situation where I play with rocks every day.
Awesome. So how did it evolve into that?
It started with a career in community mental health.
Okay.
And of service. And then I worked at the Atlanta Penitentiary, maximum security in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
And I was the first woman to work directly with the inmates in psychology. And there was a metaphysical study group in the hospital there.
Oh.
And I ended up being their connection and to their teachers that came in the store. And they gave me my first metaphysical book to read, Bach's Journey of a Reluctant Messiah. And then they asked me if I'd like some psychic protection in my office.
Wow.
And there was no other protection in my office, so I said, why not? And there was a very dangerous situation where I have no logical reason to have walked away from it alive, and I did. And it sort of was a wake-up call, like, maybe I need to be paying attention to these things, because maybe this is something that really helped me get through that.
Oh, wow. So do you mind sharing what it was?
It was an inmate that was in my office and left and murdered another woman. So it was a very serious thing. And he then said he'd come to murder me, but he hadn't had an opportunity. And that wasn't totally true. He could have if he'd.
Okay.
So.
Wow. And did you know what psychic protection was at the time that he said that?
No, not until afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like,
Then
hey,
you're like,
something,
let's get some of that.
Some more of that. Yeah.
Okay, wow. And then what kind of, I'm just curious, what kind of protection was used? Did you have someone else come in and do it, or did you learn how to do it yourself?
They just said it to me. The way I like to work with crystals, a lot of people want stones for protection. So that's the first chakra, connecting to the ground. And very often they use black tourmaline, a black crystal.
Yeah.
Or black obsidian was the original mirror, where it just reflects energy back. Personally, I don't think if someone's sending negative energy or intent to you, sending it back to them is a good idea. So I learned that smoky quartz is very good for transmuting that negative energy into positive. And so I'd like to see more positive energy out there. So I'm not about reversing bad things and sending it back to people. It's really about how do we transform this into a positive learning experience.
Yeah, and I'm really big on transmutation also, especially even when I'm healing people, instead of removing some of the negative energy, because when you remove it, it has to go somewhere. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, so it's just going to sit in the atmosphere.
Right.
So instead of just removing it, I transmute it. and then that allows the energy to stay within the body and still actually start working for them instead of against them. So I definitely, another crystal that I love for transmutation is, I always forget it. Okay, I'll have to come back to it.
Okay. Hey, I remember
always
the other
forget
one,
the name.
rhodochrosite was the other heart chakra stone.
What's it called?
Rhodochrosite.
Oh, I do like that
was
stone.
the one that was for healing with breath.
Yeah, that stone has a very, very high vibration. Yes.
So then with working with the energy of the crystals, what else do you want to know there?
So with how did you start to actually really get into crystals after that whole thing happened? It sounded like that was kind of your pivotal moment.
Back to community mental health service for quite a while, and then I started working for actually the distributor of our metaphysical books. And while I was there, I went to West Georgia to do my master's in transpersonal psychology.
Okay.
And that included things like near-death experience and astral projection. That's what the guys at the prison were interested in, astral projection.
Okay.
So when I was doing that, I was doing a thesis writing, and it was a fairy tale. And at the end, the princess reclaimed her magical powers. So one day I'm driving to work, and it'd been interesting learning about all the books, but we were in a warehouse and there wasn't much direct communication with people. And I said, I'm at a stoplight, thank goodness, and said, what do I really want to do with my life? And a full-blown vision of Phoenix and Dragon Bookstore just went up in the sky, and there was a little cottage, and it was full of light. That was the thing I remembered most. And it said Phoenix and Dragon Bookstore across the top.
Oh, nice.
And there it was. Scary. I never had a vision before. Again, that's being a mystic. That's where I feel that was the moment I realized that I was getting information that was important.
Yeah, wow. And then so what, did you just act on it right away, or did you sit on it?
I went back to work, and my best friend was working there, and her name was Apollonia, nickname Apple. My last name was Apple. And we'd been interviewed together. They couldn't make up their mind between the two of us. So she was hired, I was hired, we became best friends. I told her about the vision. And she said, well, this is February 1987, September 21st. It's a solar eclipse, and I'm going to be doing work at your store. And I better go resign right now, effective September 21st. I said, Apollonia, it's only a vision. And she went and resigned. So September 21st, we were painting the last room of the building and ready to open.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, no vision is just a vision. Every
I
vision
learned
has a
that.
purpose. Yeah. Every vision has a purpose, every single one of them. So I know people use crystals in a lot of different ways. I'd like to know what ways you use crystals from a personal standpoint, personally in your life.
I mentioned to you that I work with the chakras. That's sort of my base core of each color. Let's find my little chakra stones here. Let's try my other bag of chakra stones. Each color has a purpose. Now, one of the things, we do have some books where you can look up specific purposes, and I brought one of our copies from work, very well used, as you can see. And this is by Jane Hightower, Stone Empowerment. And you can see what you're working on and look up what stone is good for it.
Okay.
I like to start with the chakras and see from that direction. Oh, here come the rocks.
Okay.
An example is hematite. Feel how heavy it is.
Yeah.
Is grounding, connecting to the earth. And a lot of people think lower chakras mean bad, higher mean good. I just want to live in my higher chakras and be up in my spiritual space. Basically, you'd float off the earth if you were always there. So we need some grounding.
We need to be here,
and
people.
First chakra also has two colors. Red is more about passion. You're physical, emotional, and passionate about what you do. And so as I work with each color, with rose quartz, if you were using this grid and wanted to do it, this is all the different chakras, and you could actually put this on the chakra. And selenite is very good for clearing the stones, but it's also good for energizing them.
Okay.
So you could arrange all your stones on that and do a meditation with it. You could actually put it on your body and do a meditation lying down with your chakra stones arranged, or just the one you were working on that day.
Okay. So that's the way that you personally work with them at home, for
At
instance?
home, or it could be in my pocket if I'm going somewhere. Very often it's in jewelry. This is
Yes.
throat chakra. I'm wearing it today because I want to be speaking and being clear. And
Yes.
also, the little side energy that I learned about in reading a book is for attracting unusual customers. And I love unusual customers
Why do you love unusual customers?
because they're fun and they're our customers. And that's
Interesting. Keep it interesting, right?
right.
So what's been the most amazing result that you've gotten personally from working with crystals?
Well, it's also my first teachers, and probably the most amazing result is working with animals. When I opened my store, a woman came to the grand opening, and she was talking with someone, and she'd had a horse be injured, and they took it to the Auburn Vet College where there were such experts, and they said, no, it's hopeless. You're just going to have to put that horse down. And she went to a crystal healer who put certain crystals on the leg of the horse, wrapped it, and the horse got better.
Mm.
And so also, we had a little kitty show up at our door at the store. And it
Okay.
had feline leukemia. And we took it to the vet and said, no hope. And we put the kitty back in my office and thought about this. And most cats hide when they're not feeling well.
Mm-hmm.
The water didn't come back. And this kitty would come out to people that had energy healing and would put its head in its hand.
Oh, okay.
And so the kitty started picking out different crystals to sleep in and arranging them.
Oh.
And it was able to live with us 4 years.
Oh, wow. That's great. So, yeah, I know crystals have, significant healing properties. And when you put a crystal on any living creature that has some type of ailment, especially pain or something that needs to boost the body's healing energy, it works significantly. And especially when you add intention to that. Right?
And a sip of water.
Yes. That's always good. Helps the chi flow. So what ways do you teach others to work with crystals?
As I mentioned, go to the chakra you're
Yeah.
working on. We have a cheat sheet over our candles that mention the chakras.
Oh, okay.
And so we sort of start with that. Very often people say, what does that chakra do?
Mm-hmm.
And I explain it's like a tool.
Yeah.
What does a shovel do?
It digs.
No, it doesn't. Stands up against the wall until you pick it up.
Yes.
And at which point it reminds you of your focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel a lot of us, our affirmations, our magic, maybe doesn't work so well because we don't stay focused. And I
Yeah.
really feel that's what the work of the crystal does.
Yeah, that is true. Crystals do help focus your energy, and they also, because they transmit energy well, they also store energy well. And so, when you're trying to focus your energy on a particular task, or you're trying to focus your energy to a particular direction or trajectory, it actually, your energy can mix with the energy and the vibrations of the crystal, and that can magnify the intention of what you're trying to do.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So I think that's one of the basics. A lot of people, too, talk about clearing crystals.
Mm-hmm.
And you can put them under the sun, under the moon, in running water, and still water, and salt water. My teacher taught me you always have your breath.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just go, turn
Yeah.
the crystal away, it's cleared.
That's so true, because I teach people very similar, because a lot of people think you have to go through all these rituals and everything like that. I've heard people burying crystals in the ground, leaving them for 90 days or something crazy.
Yeah, it
It's
has
like-
to be in a running stream.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
none of that is necessary. You can easily, clear a crystal within seconds with your intention and your breath. That I use the breath. We'll talk about that when we come back. So up next, we're going to learn about some practical methods you can use to work with crystals and amplify that power right after this. Also, UI Media Network is looking for like-minded interns to assist in getting our message out. Email us at contact@unitedintentions.org or call 678-495-46 4345 to connect. You are watching Mystic Mondays with Monica Bay.
Do you want to learn how you can stop sabotaging yourself? I'm here with Dr. Vern Morgan, and I think he's about to tell you just that.
There's great new technology which will allow you to change the old negative programming into very positive strategies. And we do that by using and delivering repetitively these strategies, bypassing the conscious mind and influencing the subconscious mind.
And to learn more, go to unitedintentions.org and click on Shop and make the authentic change today.
Welcome back to Mystic Mondays. We are here with Candace Apple, owner of and founder of the Phoenix and Dragon bookstore, and we're having some pretty awesome discussions today. If you have any questions or would like to say hello, you can please call us at 678-495-4345. I hope you mystics and mystic hopefuls are ready to get some great techniques to work with powerful crystals in a very powerful way. Let's do it. Okay. So, first I would like to ask, what are your favorite crystals and why?
Oh, they're all my favorite. As I said, this Larimar is one of my favorites.
Larimar, okay.
Because it's about communication. I think that's very important. And sometimes, like when you're working with picking a chakra crystal, there can be two similar ones, but different reasons for them being favorite. Jade is good for good luck and prosperity. Nephrite jade is from Canada. And there was a very large, beautiful world peace Buddha made out of the nephrite jade. And I've gone to see that at the Vietnamese monastery in Conyers. And having been in that present, just the nephrite jade gives me that connection. Again, it's the vibration of something you've experienced. So,
yes.
So there can be different reasons. Labradorite is one of my favorite. It's
that's
the
one of mine too.
Stone.
That's one of my favorites.
It's about
too.
manifestation, and it
does so much.
Well, it's so hidden. That's what's so magical about it to me. It looks like a black, ugly old stone, and then when the light hits it, it just wakes up. And I think that's a lot about when we're doing our magic of manifestation and our thoughts creating our reality. Something can look very dull and blurry, and then suddenly, aha, there's the inspiration. It's bright and beautiful and clear.
Yes. And I just remembered the stone I was trying to remember earlier for transmutation, shungite.
Oh, shungite's wonderful.
I love that. Yeah, I love that stone.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites for transmutation. I actually use it as one of my healing tools as well when I'm healing others.
Good.
Yes. So show us what you have today for us.
Okay. Here's some ideas. Of course, I wasn't thinking about broadcasting and how vertical things. It's to show you this, I will hold it this way, but you can't really stick the crystals on it too well.
Yeah.
So we'll work with this. This is sacred geometry. It's called the Flower of Life. And the idea of doing a grid of crystals or making a design with them is to help them flow the energy between the crystals and then magnify it and send it out to the universe even stronger. And some people do a grid all the way around the outside of their house. Some people do a tiny little grid that you can take on vacation with you. See how we can see this best. And with tiny little stones.
Okay, so this is a little a grid kit. Oh, okay.
Kit.
I haven't seen them this small.
I hadn't either. This wonderful lady.
And this is from your store, right?
Yes. And she has a book, Elaine Smith. And this is an example of a grid finished. And with this book, she also has a collection of cards. And what's great about the cards, it gives you the design and what each stone stands for and why you would use that stone. And so I thought I was going to do this one would be a good one, and I can show you what it would look like here. This is called Family Gathering. And since Thanksgiving's coming next month, we'll be having a few of these. And the idea of it is to gather and amplify energy of the other stones and direct the shower over the entire room. So blue lace agate to encourage open communication, rose quartz to bring unconditional love to the family gathering, amethyst to open connection to spiritual guidance, and angelite to welcome connection to angels. So the idea is that if sometimes over the holidays things can get a little tense with families,
Which a lot of families have
if
that.
they have different opinions about life, and this is a way to work on that healing. And definitely the blue lace agate would be good for the communication and for peacefulness.
Yeah.
So those are all good things to use. My favorite stone, I might stick in one of these. Maybe it's dangerous in families, but maybe it's necessary. Celestite is a light blue stone, and it's for
I do like
speaking
that
your
one.
truth with the voice of an angel.
Mm.
So you can be true to yourself, but not have to get a yelling, screaming fight with anybody.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So all the stones in one chakra are very similar, but they each have their little specialty job.
Yes, everything has its own little unique energy signature or
And
vibration.
own flavor to the whole pie when you're making your pizza.
Yes. So for people that may not know or may not be as familiar with sacred geometry, can you explain what the flower of life is and why putting the grid on the flower of life specifically helps to amplify the energy?
Well, they're all circles and they're all interconnected, but they also make other sacred geometry like triangles and Seal of Solomon, overlapping triangles. So it's all about amplification.
Yeah.
And so there's many to choose from. This is one of the more popular
Yeah,
ones.
and also the flower of life as an entire geometric shape also correlates a lot with prosperity,
With prosperity,
and positive healing energy as well. So especially doing one like this with the helping the communication with the family, putting that on the flower of life, that just adds extra energy to it to help heal situations and communications in
I'm
the family.
trying to pull up a few of these.
That's okay. I can help
But
you hold it.
there. And so like it would have the amethyst, the rose quartz,
Mm-hmm.
and so that would be blending. Each one of these then, as you see, the lines interconnect. So that's how it interconnects and amplifies the energy.
Yes. And so, for those at home, when you're doing a crystal grid, the crystals have to connect to each other because it is a grid.
Right.
So,
that's right.
so those lines that she's talking about are the lines in between the crystals and all leading to the center crystal.
Right,
Which
and it's-
in that picture, let me see the picture to show everyone.
I think-
So I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but there's a center stone there, and then all of these stones are connected to each other with energy, and they connect to the center stone, which pushes everything out into the universe with a lot of force and power.
And the center stone in that was going to be the clear crystal. Which
Yes.
Is, a clear crystal is your general all-purpose crystal. When we were talking about clearing a crystal, you can also give intent to a crystal by blowing on it again, but towards you. So if you were to use this in a grid, you might want to clear it from any previous work, then put the intent of sending out that positive energy to your whole family when they're gathered. Maybe even the plans for getting ready. Sometimes the glitches are in the plans, and you can work smoothly together.
Yeah.
So, and the center stone like that would be where that energy then all sends out into the universe.
Yes. And I can tell you that crystal grids are one of my favorite things to do. They work so well. And I have permanent crystal grids that I've I don't reuse the crystals. I actually have them glued down on my grid.
That's a good
so that
idea. Do you have cats in the house?
I do not.
Oh, well, that's a good thing.
I have dogs, but I have it high enough they can't reach. But having them for different things that are ongoing that no matter what I always want more of in my life. So those are like the permanent grids, and then I have temporary grids that I'll just put up for a particular situation. Maybe I need a particular situation to go the way that I need it to go in positivity or whatever. I may put a grid up for that or a particular opportunity that I'm trying to acquire or something like that. I put a grid up for that, and they work 100% of the time for me.
And a lot of times these days when people talk about getting off the grid, they want to be off connection with people. But there's some good things when you learn about synchronicity.
Yeah.
That book talks about it's about the human interconnectedness.
Yeah.
And even trees, we're finding out, in the forest, their roots send information to each other. One of the things
Yes.
I've been recently reading about the brain is we don't keep our information in here. We have a receiver and we keep it out there in that infinite mind we were talking about. And so then again, that interconnection is very important.
Yes, yes. And even crystals. So I want to also talk about the fact that crystals are living things, right? And a lot of people look at them, as people who aren't as into them. They may look at them as just, rocks or something that is just pretty or just there. But crystals do have a life force energy in them. They do have chi, and when we connect to that chi, that's where the power really starts. That's where the magic happens, right?
And sometimes they get real lively and burst open.
They do, yeah.
We have had a customer that bought a piece of citrine, and my staff helped them with it. And months later, they came back. It had been sitting in a bag, and it was suddenly had rutile in it. None of us can explain. There were 3 people that saw this crystal when it went out the door. We have no idea where it decided to manifest. That maybe it was always there, but not visible. Maybe it being cared for and worked with made it visible. There's a lot in the world. I don't believe everything I read or everything I hear, but I believe anything's possible.
Oh, definitely. Because the possibilities in the universe are infinite, so everything has to be possible.
Right. 2 of the crystals I love the most are called phantom crystals. And I should have brought one if knew we were going to say this. It's a quartz, and you can see a misty little ghost of a quartz inside of it, and then layers and layers. And that's the crystal growing. It shows where it stopped at this first little point, and there was sediment on it, and it grew some more, then it grew some more, and it grew some more. I love those.
Okay.
Oh, 3 stones. Interference quartz, where it's growing, and you can see something stopped it, and it maybe turned direction, and
Okay.
it grew some more. So if crystals can survive interference, we can.
Yes, that's true.
And then self-healed ones, where they've broken off.
I was just about to say
And
that.
the little
That's
points,
what made
I
me think
love
of.
self-healed crystals.
Yeah.
Because again, that's a reflection of how
And
we
you-
connect to them.
Yeah, and you can tell that they're still alive because a crystal, when it breaks off, what we're talking about is a piece of it breaks off, you put the piece back on it and leave it there, it'll mend back together.
And it'll even grow new healed points if there isn't anything near it. It'll do that too. I was going to find that other crystal that's just has a rough side, and then all of a sudden it has little points that have grown to heal.
Awesome. So, what do you think of one thing that I do with crystals is like you were saying earlier with your breath, and that takes me. I have a lot of a vast arsenal in my head of things that I've studied from all over the world, and I take bits and pieces from different practices. So, one thing that I take from African spirituality is using the breath. And breathing life into the crystal. Although the crystal's still alive, breathing life into
Waking it back up.
Yeah, it's like igniting that life force energy inside of it to become even more powerful. And I find that when I do that and I breathe life into a crystal, especially with the intention of whatever I need to use it for, it makes everything a lot more powerful.
It's amazing how if we have our crystals on the shelf and for some reason I go pick one up, look at it, talk to it, put it back, it'll sell that day or the next day. I mean, I don't even do it on purpose. It becomes energized again.
Yeah. And it's amazing. You can actually feel the difference in the energy for sure. Yes. That's awesome. So what do you have any suggestions to anyone on how to actually program a crystal I'm not sure what method you use.
Well, I mentioned that blowing into it
Yeah.
is one way, but it's that focus. Again, the crystal's there to help us focus. So when we work with them, we need to be focused. Get in your meditation space. Maybe burn the incense that you would burn in meditation because that brings you back to that focus.
Yeah.
So that everything around it is familiar with it. So music you play at a certain time to meditate. And then go into that space and you're visualizing the outcome of what you want to see, the healed bone that's healed, the beautiful house that you're imagining creating.
Yes.
So get in that space with the crystal so it knows you're holding it, it's connecting to your energy,
Yes.
and it's a good way to go with it.
Yes. So just to point out to all of you watching at home, it's important to know that crystals can be used for absolutely anything. So any intention that you have, anything that you want to manifest in your life, especially crystal grids, I love them. So, you can get some crystals and make it happen and program them and use all the tools that both of us have given you today to do that. Okay, well, this has been some great information. So thank you for that. Just a few announcements. Wake Up Consciousness tomorrow morning with the Awaken Atlanta show, as hosts Tim Ray and Shannon McVeigh are going in to interview doctor and psychologist Kate Malastry, along with feminine leader and success coach Frances Everett. That's tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time on the Awaken Atlanta morning show. And if you have any questions or would like to say hello, please call 678-495-4345. Up next, we're going to continue some deep discussions around all of this right after this. You're watching Mystic Mondays with Monica Bay.
Download the UI Media Smart app at uimediaapp.com to watch and listen to all your favorite shows anytime from anywhere in the world. Shows that enrich, entertain, educate, and feeds the conscious cells throughout your body. We bring you never heard before topics in health, inspiration, music, psychics, numerology, current affairs, controversies, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.uimediaapp.com and start raising your frequency now.
Welcome back. We're having so much fun with our guest, Candace Apple. So let's get back into it. You call your store Phoenix and Dragon. Why that name?
It came in the vision.
Oh, yeah, we already went through
I don't know,
that.
but I'll tell you
Little bit.
why I kept it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't argue with the vision, but I sort of wanted to be educated, and I had no idea what it meant. So I went and looked up Chinese mythology, and it's actually the yin and yang of the world. It's male and female energy. So that little symbol that's the black and the white and the squiggle, and they sort of fit together.
Yeah.
That's what it represents. What was interesting to me, I think of Phoenix being representative of fire, because the Phoenix rose out of the ashes, its own ashes in the fire, and was rebirth. And so that's the transformation. The dragon I also think of as fire.
And so do I.
But in Chinese mythology, it's a river serpent. So it represents the river, the water energy.
Okay.
And in a river stays the same. It's a path going in a direction, but it's always changing. So I thought about that, and I said, what are we here for? Well, we're for transforming energy, for sure. And we're here studying ancient religions and spiritual paths. But as we're in a new age and a new time, they are evolving with time too. So it felt like the perfect combination. And I said, okay. It's awfully long to write in a URL, though. So,
Yeah.
but the computer wasn't around then.
Oh,
to do
yeah.
that. Internet didn't happen. It was 32 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've had a really, really good run from now to then.
I've had fun.
Definitely.
Every day a learning experience.
Really. So are you in the store every day? You manage the store? Or do you have
I'm
someone
there
else?
all the time, except when I'm not. I'm not there right now.
Yes, you're here. Thank you for being here.
There's a grandbaby I visit every so often.
Okay.
I've cut back to half time. I am only working 40 hours a week.
Okay. That's halftime. Wow. Hard work, but it's not hard work when you love it,
Oh,
right?
it's fun.
And-
And yesterday I was teaching making fairy houses. And that's one of my most fun things I do, besides playing with the rocks.
Besides-
Just watching people's creativity get awakened and sparked and do
Yes.
fun things.
So tell me what you guys have at the store. Do you have a lot of workshops or things like that? Because what
We
you were
have
just saying, you were teaching people
50
things.
to 60 workshops a month. Some are ongoing. We have 3 weekly meditation classes, one for women on Monday nights, a lunchtime, and then a Saturday evening at 6. And that uses a lot of sound healing and different sound.
Oh, I love sound
In it,
healing.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have an Enneagram class right now on Wednesdays at 11. And one of our teachers that taught it 20 years ago has decided, yes, I want to come back and do some of this. We have coming up for Halloween a really special class. It's a divination party. And they do all sorts of weird divination, like taking wax and dripping it, hot wax, into water and seeing what design it does.
Okay.
I taught
Yeah.
Oreo divination once. You take an Oreo cookie and twist it, and there's a pattern on each side. And the first time we did this, I thought, oh, this is going to be silly. Well, it was a white wolf under a moon, and the young woman started crying. She'd lived in Alaska as a child, and there was a white wolf that came out into their backyard during a full moon.
Wow.
So go figure.
Well, that just goes to show, and it does sound silly, but I've never heard of Oreo divination, but it just goes to show that you can really use anything for divination because it's not that what you're using is magical. Again, it's a tool for your intuition to pick up on something.
And it's like the pictures in the tea leaves.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell a secret. I hope I don't get in trouble with Susan. Maybe they won't hear it. Maybe they will. About entrail readings back in ancient times, they'd take the insides out of an animal and throw them and read them. Well, we're going to do entrails of a pumpkin.
Oh, as long as it's not an animal.
A pumpkin. They're going to reach in the pumpkin and see what the seeds and the things
Yes.
say.
Do you actually use, I forget what it's called, where you read this, is it liromancy? I think it's called liromancy, where you read stones, you throw
throw stones out. There was
the gemstones specifically. I think that's what it's called.
There's some different ways we've done it. There was a Celtic reader that you throw out the stones and where they landed, would
exactly.
give you the
That's
information.
what,
Sort of like throwing the bones.
Yeah,
It'd be
exactly.
a very similar thing.
Yeah.
We had a woman do dirt reading.
Okay.
And there were little bottles of dirt, and you picked your dirt. And this was a big expo, and my friend went. She had been a great healer, and she said, you should do this. And I did it, and I picked my dirt, and the woman said, for hundreds of years, you've been a scullery maid in the castles on your knees, cleaning the stone floors. I went, great. Time to shift that energy.
So how did the dirt reading work?
Well, that's
She
what
just-
those little dirt
Okay.
parts I picked out. I picked out the special bottles, and they each had a meaning.
Okay. Got it.
Go figure.
Well, there's all kinds of divination. I prefer, for myself, I usually actually just use my own intuition and I just tap in and see what I see. But when I do use a tool, it's usually either tarot cards or oracle cards. And once in a while, I have done again, I don't know if I'm saying the name properly, but I think it's called the liromancy, where you toss the stones. And I have done I Ching as well. But what mostly resonates with me are cards because they're just fast and easy.
Susan Rushing teaches a monthly psychic development course, and she teaches, again, just lots of little tools to do that with, but does a lot. She does some with medium. She's a medium, and she does different ways to enhance that energy reading and awareness, and lots of fun things.
Yeah, and it's important to do that because that's one way that I have gotten as strong as I am today is from working at it. It's just
Right.
like I use an analogy for someone who is, naturally a great basketball player. They may have that ability naturally, but guess what? They'll never be, Michael Jordan unless they practice and they work
Right.
at it. They develop it into, an actual skill. And so that's what, everyone, I believe, psychic development is very important.
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. So what is your, I'd like to know a little bit more about what your mission in the world is, what's important to you?
I think my mission, which I feel would save the world if we could do it, is to understand that interconnectedness. I really believe it's not even altruism. If I just saw a little video online, and this little being that just got into heaven was asking God, and God said, well, I made the earth all for you. And he said, well, what about those other people? And he says, they're all you. And it's all you at a different stage of your life, a different incarnation, but they're all you because we are interconnected, is my belief.
Yeah, and I believe the same.
And I wouldn't hurt someone. I wouldn't think bad thoughts about them. I wouldn't say bad things about them if I realize it's me. Why hurt yourself? And love is the thing that can connect us all instead of fear.
Yes.
So that would be my goal, for people to get that. Simple. It's really simple, folks.
It's
Really it is.
Simple but not easy.
And hard to remember sometimes.
Yeah.
Hard to remember.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in the world that we live in, it's like I said. That's why I said simple, not easy. It's hard for a lot of people to to separate what they know and feel and see physically in front of them as their life versus we appear to be two different people. But how do you understand that we're all connected and it's really you've heard of string theory, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so that really was Western science's way of saying, yeah, okay, this exists. But we already knew about it thousands of years ago.
And it can explain psychic phenomena.
It does, yes. Yeah, that we're all already connected and we're all part of that universal oneness.
I had a synchronistic experience happen yesterday that was very powerful. My son grew up with a Russian teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was about 14, we took an American teddy bear filled with 2,000 hugs to the Soviet Union 3 months before communism fell.
Mm.
And I have a book about it, and I've been working towards the publication point. I finally got permission for the art. And yesterday, a woman from Moscow came in looking for stones to take to her World Healing Group in Moscow.
Oh, nice.
And so I got them some chrysocolla, which is earth healing because it looks like a little earth, and some stones, and one from Arkansas from Healing Green in it. She wanted something local here from America. So it was like just the person I needed to connect with to help raise that energy. And I said, there's political, back in the Cold War, there were political things. Now there's political things with us in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And to just know that there's a group there working towards healing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I know that there's a lot of groups around that don't necessarily make themselves known that are working toward, trying to put more love into the world and definitely doing it through crystals, but also doing it through other ways of manifesting and just really trying to increase and raise the vibration on the planet because it's so needed right now.
Even
always
organite
needed.
is man-made, but it creates that idea of seeding it out into the environment to help.
Yes, and I use you talking about organs, right?
Yeah.
Organite. I know
Organite,
people
yeah.
call them different things. Yes. I actually use those in healing too. It's very well. They're very, very strong. I love them. All right, so we can open up questions for the audience. If anyone has a question, you can call in at 678-495-4345. And for now, we're going to also let you all know that you can follow me on all social media at The Real Monica Bay, and for help discovering your purpose or help in developing your spiritual gifts. So that's all for today. Thank you for being here and sharing your authentic self with us today, Candace Apple.
Right. It was fun.
Yes, this was a lot of fun. Definitely, for sure. You can follow me on all social media at The Real Monica Bay. And for help discovering your purpose or developing your spiritual gifts and abilities, go to monicabay.com. Also, don't forget to tune in on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time as host Tim Ray interviews alignment coach and resident pioneer David Burns on The Good Intention Show. The United Intention Foundation Seeds of Intention and Sprouts of Intention planners are more than your typical day planner. They teach you how to be aware of your thoughts. Get yours today at unitedmedia.shopify.com. Thank you all for watching Mystic Mondays. I'm Monica Bay, the healer in heels, and I will see you next time. Remember, with Mystic Mondays, no gifted soul gets left behind. Thank you for watching Mystic Mondays with me, Monica Bay, also known as the Healer in Heels on United Intentions Media Network. Want to see more of me? Be sure to follow me on all social media at The Real Monica Bay. Join me next time on Mystic Mondays as we continue to elevate and illuminate all things mystic. Until next time. Stay updated on all UI Media shows at www.uimediaapp.com.
The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests.